Hallo zurück, YouTube. Und ja, gleiches Me wie Folge davor. Wie der Part davor. Wir machen jetzt einfach direkt weiter und zwar mit Late Shift. Mit dem Moment Late Shift. Bin ich jetzt auch gespannt. Oh, was ist denn hier? Eine gute Locke. So, fangen wir an. Machen direkt weiter. Toll. Toll. After lunch, you ran into Baxter. He was more than happy for an impromptu hangout in your neighborhood. He idly spoke about the first time he bought a shirt online. Apparently, the website hadn't been in English, so he had made to do with automatic online translations. His unique fashion sense was electric in more than one way. Finding out how he filled out his wardrobe answered some of your questions about his look. He smiled in fond remembrance. Ich kann das mit dem nicht, ne? I measured myself multiple times to make sure I could order the correct size. It wasn't as if I'd be able to ship it back if there were problems. But to make a long story short, it arrived in one piece, multiple months later. At that point, I wasn't going to complain. It was a physical object in my hands. He gestured with his arm for emphasis. As he did, Baxter glanced at his wrist at a watch that wasn't there. Anyway, I hope I'm not taking too much of your time with this. You were currently taking it easy for a bit before you had to get ready for your work. You had an unusual closing shift at your job today. Actually, I do have to get going soon. I have a closing shift at work. Normally, I don't close today. I don't know if someone's out or what. It is what it is. Cove's already working. He's at the old library as an assistant. I think he found a good option for himself, especially with how limited jobs are in this town. He can usually take later shifts, so he has his mornings free, so both of us are pretty much booked for this evening once I get to work. Baxter nodded understandingly. He was more interested than you had expected him to be. What do you do? I work at the public library. I work at the Tropical Place restaurant. I work at a mall kiosk. It sells phone cases. I work at the Tropical Place restaurant. Ja. Auch wenn ich das persönlich, ich würde niemals in meinem Leben kellnern und ich habe größten Respekt vor den Leuten, die kellnern. Ich könnte das nicht. Ich könnte das nicht. Menschen gehen mir einfach dann viel zu sehr auf die Nerven. He grinned as if you had just said you had an exciting career as a movie star. Interesting. Well, now that I know where you and when you work, does that mean I should avoid visiting the place at that time? Or should I conveniently happen to bump into you during your shift? You chuckled at his directness. He really could be straightforward at times. I wouldn't mind seeing you there. I'd absolutely love having a distraction during my shift. It doesn't matter to me. You show up if you want. I'm gonna be pretty busy working. Avoid it. You said nothing. I'm gonna be pretty busy working. Like, I'm working. You gave him a soft but truthful no. You did not think that you would have enough time to do more than say hi, even if he did go through the trouble of seeing you. Message received. He shot you a thumbs up and you let out a sigh of relief. There would be no uncomfortable encounters today. Thank you. I've got to get ready now. Good luck, Jenny. He waved at you as you peeled off toward your house. You reached your front door and gave Baxter one final nod before you went inside. You finished preparing early. You prepared on time. You were late and rushing to keep up. You were late but still relaxed. You finished preparing early. Yeah. It didn't take you long to change into your uniform. You made sure your hair was clean and gave your professional-looking self a thumbs up in the mirror. You casually went back outside ready. You felt satisfied at the time. If things went to plan, you would be at work with time to spare just as you liked. You drove to work, you walked to work, you drove to work. You unlocked the family car and climbed in. After you turned your key, you were off to another day of work. Einfach weil, wenn sie die Closing Shift hat, also wenn sie im Prinzip das Lokal schließen muss, das heißt, sie arbeitet spät. Also ich weiß ja nicht, wie das so bei euch ist, aber ich persönlich finde es nicht so geil, dann da, keine Ahnung, um 2 Uhr morgens oder so, ich weiß jetzt nicht, wann halt der Laden so zumacht, aber dann um diese Uhrzeit noch nach Hause zu laufen. Und wenn wir uns daran erinnern, wir sind, selbst als wir mit Cove in diesem Tropical Restaurant waren, sind wir auch gefahren, weil es halt so weit weg war. Dementsprechend, ne? You arrived at the building and went in at a leisurely pace. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary that day. Before you fully settled into your shift, you sent a quick text to Cove that you made it to work all right. Your phone buzzed with his response before you had finished stowing it in your pocket. Cove sent back a positive "you can do it" message that made you smile. You tightened your server apron and soon found yourself at your first table of the day. You took the tourists' drink orders with a smile. You brought them back their lemonade and started writing down what they wanted to eat. Even though things had been slow when you first got there, it didn't take long for the late crowd to start filtering in. You were constantly on your feet, taking orders and cleaning tables. You were really happy with your job. You didn't think your job was bad. You were only working there because you couldn't find something better. You could barely stand working there. You didn't think your job was bad. Ja, komm. You didn't think your job was bad. It was actual work, something that you didn't truly enjoy, but it was okay, and you got paid for it. That made it all worthwhile. Das hört sich gut an. Eventually you hit a rhythm, and the rest of the afternoon slipped by. You checked the clock set high on a side wall. With how late it was time for your meal break. You breathed a sigh of relief and left your station. You found a quiet place to eat that was out of eyeshot of most people and pulled out your phone. You typed out a text to Cove to let him know you were having dinner. You took your first bite of your meal and Cove replied with an okay. Your phone came to life again as he let you know that he'd already taken his long break, but he still had a short one you could take. With him on break as well, he asked if you could call. You were happy for the chance to talk. You'd been wanting to spend some time with him. He was made aware of that and sent back one more text, a thumbs up. Then you got a call. You accepted it as soon as you saw it was Cove.
Hey.
Hi, Jenny. Hi. Today's been going by really quickly. Oh, definitely. I guess you continued listening to him. Definitely. It felt like barely any time had passed since this morning. All in all, the week itself had been going by fast. Cove laughed quietly. You should have seen it. When I got to my shift earlier, there was a huge fight going on with the schedule. I just tried to stay out of it. I'm lucky no one else wants to close. It's not something I've gotta defend. Some shifts are way too competitive. He shook his head at the memory. He wondered how the shifts had been sorted out in the end. He didn't bother to elaborate further on his workplace drama. I hope nothing's going on with you. This isn't normally when you'd be working. It's fine, I make sure to almost always have a good schedule. I was open to a change of pace. I got stuck with a bad deal, but I had no choice. I'm getting through it. It's nothing. So it's fine. I make sure to almost always have a good schedule, yeah. You figured that, like Cove, you probably didn't go for some of the especially desirable shifts. He made a small hum of acknowledgement. At least we're in the same boat. Yeah. The conversation drifted off as Cove grew quiet. I can't stay on too much longer, it's busy. You imagined he was looking at some kind of clock the same way you had earlier. Cove sighed. The two of you had only started to talk, and yet it was somehow over.
Bye.
Bye. The word was flat, he was down about leaving. There was a second of silence before he pulled himself together. We'll have more time later. Right, bye. Oh, bye. Bye. Gibt's da nicht irgendwie sowas Ähnliches? Hat man das gehört? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You let him go and finish up your meal on your own. Just as you were clearing up, your phone vibrated. Cove had found time to sneak you a quick text just a few more hours until closing. You smiled as you finished your break. It was time to get back to work. Customers continued to trickle in even though it was getting closer to closing time. Before you could jump back into work, you felt your phone buzz in your pocket. It had to be a text message, but there was no way you could check it now. Your phone buzzed again, making your hand twitch, wanting to check it. Still, it would have to wait. Shaking the distraction off, you quickly fell back into the rhythm of things. There were still plenty of tasks that had to be done. Glancing at a couple as they passed you on their way out the door, your hands quickly became busy cleaning up their table. The tray you brought with you was stacked high with dirty dishes, used utensils, and crumpled napkins. Excuse me? A customer from the next spot over was gesturing for you. They were holding a coffee mug in their hand. Could I get a refill? Of course. They nodded, and you finished wiping down the table with a cloth before heading to the back. On your way, someone weaving through the seating arrangement bumped into you, knocking the tray out of your hands. Ah! The plates and silverware clattered to the floor. A glass rolled past your feet. While you strained to keep it together, you barely noticed the stranger slowly sidestepping past you. Sorry. Wordlessly, you bent down and started collecting the dishes. Luckily, nothing seemed to be broken. Oh, das ist aber hell of a good plates und so. Wie kann bitte Geschirr, wenn es runterfällt, nicht zerbrechen? By the time you were finally able to drop the dishes in the bag to be washed, you couldn't remember what you were supposed to be doing next. There was something you were certain. You tried rewinding the last 10 minutes in your mind. You cleaned that table and then there was a request for a refill. Looking back at the room, you could pick out which customer put in the request. What they wanted was coffee. Moments later, you had a mug filled to the brim with hot, steaming coffee. The bitter smell tickled your nose while you hurried back to the table with your finest customer service smile. I'm sorry about the wait. Here's your drink. Can I get you anything else? You picked up their empty mug. The customer glanced at the refill briefly and then turned their attention back to the meal they were half through. No, that's all, thanks. Not wanting to waste another second, you walked back towards the kitchen. You were so happy that you'd recovered from the earlier impact. Your body was starting to tire out from the busyness of today. Luckily, you had one more short break. You took a seat and finally checked those messages from earlier. There was one from Mom. Would you mind stopping by the grocery store on your way home to pick up some asparagus and peppers for dinner tomorrow? Ist das Spargel? Was ist das? Can't make it myself. Deadlines are tight right now. Thank you and have a great day. Wie soll das funktionieren? You sighed. You shook your head in frustration. You shrugged. You didn't mind the request. You were happy to do it. You sighed. So ganz im Ernst? Nee. While the request could have been worse, it was still just another thing piled on your plate. Your limbs instantaneously felt heavier and lethargic. After taking a couple deep breaths, you sent back a simple response. Okay. You weren't expecting her to text back anytime soon, though you did already get a thanks for it. There was no reason at this point not to check the other messages you got earlier. A fond smile spread across your face, and your heart fluttered in your chest when you read it. It was from Cove. Just a few more hours to closing. You can do it. You knew that Cove was supposed to be busy working too, and yet he still found a moment to sneak in a text. Not a bit of that surprised you. You smiled and shook your head, not planning on answering him. You messaged back, "You're so gonna get fired?" You messaged back, "Same." Cove responded briefly seconds later. Smiley. You chuckled, wondering how his day was going in comparison to yours. You planned on sneakily sending him messages for the rest of your shift. You decided to leave the conversation there. Then you told him you could talk after your shift. You decided to leave the conversation there. Das ist halt so ein Ding, ne? So, wenn man weiß, man arbeitet, dann ist es ja schon, dann weiß man, dass man nicht schreibt, beziehungsweise nicht die Zeit dafür hat. So, ne? There were still too many other things that needed your full attention. Your break was almost up, but you were feeling better than you were just a little bit ago. Smiling softly, you were happy that Cove was always there for you. If you needed him, there was no doubt in your mind that he would continue messaging you for the rest of your shift. For another 10 minutes, you stretched your arms high over your head and imagined how nice falling into bed later was going to be. You sighed. Hopefully, your shift would go by in the blink of an eye. You jumped back into the rhythm of things. The last of the customers had finally exited the building. It was time to close. When all the doors were locked, you exhaled loudly. The whole place was officially closed. You were worn down. You felt relieved. You were pumped that you were done. Your mind was still stuck on the incident that happened earlier. That was okay, you thought, not the worst you've seen. You were worn down. Today ended up being a long one mentally and physically. Shifting how you were standing, you winced. The soles of your feet felt pain. There was no doubt in your mind that you were going to be stiff and sore in the morning. While you were shuffling around in the closed-up shop, you had a call come in. It was Cove. You knew that he spent the majority of today working overtime. You hadn't been sure if you'd hear from him. You picked up his call immediately. Hey, just finished, you? Yeah. So today sucked. I'm quitting as soon as possible. Then you groaned. Your eyes teared up. How are you doing? How are you doing? I'm fine. Nothing about... The tone of his voice was convincing. You frowned, worrying over what could have happened during his shift.
Are you okay?
Are you alright? His question was gentle and earnest. You could imagine the way his eyebrows would be furrowing right now. You had to answer truthfully to that. As okay as I can be after a bad day. As okay as I can be after a bad day.
I get it.
I get it. Okay, I know work is hard. I'm sure you did a good job today. His voice grew soft, and you wished Cove could see the small smile he put on your face. There was a pause where you took a few deep breaths. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. And remember, at least we're both in this together. Always. Right, are you heading home after this? Actually, I have to run an errand for my mom. Where to? The grocery store. Mom texted me earlier asking if I'd pick up a couple things. Oh. Would you want to come too? It was late and you knew that Cove wanted to go home, but admittedly, you wanted company. He eased that concern by speaking softly. Sure, yeah, I can go shopping with you. It's nice of you to do this.
Not really.
Not really. I like spending time with you. Thanks. I like that too. Moments later, you had your things together and were ready to swing by the store. You were out the door within minutes. You pulled into one of the many free parking spots at the neighborhood 24-hour grocery store. You waved at Cove when he parked next to you. Okay, das hat jetzt auf jeden Fall schon mal meine Skepsis besänftigt, weil ich sehr verwirrt darüber war, wie sie nachdem sie den Laden geschlossen hat, noch irgendwo einen Laden finden soll, der offen hat. Aber wenn der 24 Stunden auf hat, dann ist klar, ne? Und Magic, Hallöchen, wie geht's dir? Einen schönen guten Morgen, bezaubernde Jenka. Und ein liebes Hallöchen natürlich auch an Chat und Mods. Ich hoffe, ihr hattet schöne Ostern, beziehungsweise ein paar schöne Freitage. Ich hatte sie auf jeden Fall. Ich hoffe, du auch. Wie geht's dir? Also man hört es einfach, wenn ich schlucke. Es ist unglaublich. Es ist einfach unglaublich. Ich muss noch mal ein bisschen, glaube ich, an den Einstellungen spielen. So. There was a salty smell in the air as the two of you strolled through the dim parking lot. The local burger joint on the other side of the pavement guaranteed the place always smelled like fries. Your eyes squinted at the change of lighting when you made it inside the building. The automatic doors shut behind you. With truly having arrived, Cove raised his brow curiously.
So?
Was denn da los? Hä? Magic, ich habe eigentlich Automod aus, ne? Also beziehungsweise ich zensiere nicht. Weil, also so klar, aber eigentlich zensiere ich nichts. Wie es einem so geht, wenn man schon wieder ein Level Up hat und jetzt offiziell über 40 ist. Heute, Magic, heute ist for real heute oder in den vergangenen Tagen. So, what are we here for again? Asparagus and peppers. It's for something my moms are making tomorrow. Sounds good. This will be a short trip. Also ich muss sagen, es sieht schon gut aus, so, ne? Ich darf nicht vergessen, ich muss ja hier auch die Screenshots machen. Ja, heute und nein, das war jetzt nicht Fishing for Birthday Wishes. Aber ich sage trotzdem, Magic, alles Gute zum Geburtstag. Ich hoffe, du kannst heute einen schönen Tag haben. Ich weiß jetzt nicht, wie das Wetter bei dir so ist, aber ich hoffe, es wird ein toller Tag. So. Aha. You idly scanned the front room for a basket you could use. A full cart wasn't necessary. You felt responsible, having your parents rely on you. You were already looking forward to tomorrow's dinner. It was overwhelming how much you had to take care of. You couldn't stand the thought of making it longer. That was all there was to it. Thank you. You're welcome. Welcome. You were already looking forward to tomorrow's dinner. You'd make sure the ingredients you selected were divine. You spotted the baskets and caught a glimpse of yourself while looking down to pick one up. You know it feels funny to be in some other store while in a uniform from a different place. Cove snickered while sidling up beside you.
Right?
Oh, das gefällt mir mehr. Dieser Blick gefällt mir mehr. Right? It's like we're wearing a costume after Halloween is over, but I just hope no one thinks we work here. The uniform is totally different, but you never know. Yeah, people. Basket in hand, you ambled towards the vegetable section. It was set near the back, but visible right from the entrance. Cove matched your pace, keeping at your side. The asparagus was simple enough to select. You simply picked up a bundle that looked fresh. All that was left was the peppers. There was a wrinkle in that plan. What color did they want? She didn't say. Then what are we gonna do? The color definitely matters. No, it doesn't matter. We'll have to get one of every color. I'll text Mom real quick to ask. She left it out. That means I get to make the call. I don't know. What do you think? I'll text Mom real quick to ask. He nodded, satisfied with your solution. You tried to fish out your phone while balancing the basket. Cove held a hand out to take it. You accepted the help. With both hands free, you were able to type out a brief message to ask about pepper colors. Then you stared, waiting at the screen. Cove hovered nearby to peek over your shoulder. The replying icon appeared and you felt Cove lean in even closer. Just the regular green ones, is what she sent back. Alright, that's easy. And he was right. You picked up the requested green peppers, tossing a few into the basket. Produce acquired. All that was left was to go through the line. But as you approached the cash registers, Cove stopped in his tracks. Oh, while we're here, I want to get something too. I need fruit for breakfast tomorrow. Oh, but what should I have? He glanced back unsurely at the section you just left. Whatever it is, you better hurry, cause I'm getting in line. Cove, you had plenty of time for that before you were leaving. I can go back to look with you. Ja, machen wir jetzt einfach mal, weil wir können sowas nicht machen. I can go back to look with you. That coaxed a small smile from Cove. His tension eased.
Sorry.
Thanks, Jenny, and sorry. It's fine, we can take a little more time to do this. Cove gratefully led you back to the fruit stands. He let his eyes wander across all the options, seriously considering his decision. Not bothering to rush, you walked up and down to produce aisle for the second time that trip. Finally, something caught his attention. Transparent cases containing fresh blueberries. Cove grinned. That's it. It'll be perfect for tomorrow. Great. Despite the suddenness of how it happened, you were genuinely glad Cove was able to get something nice for himself during the visit to the store. It made the trip even more worthwhile. Ich habe mir diese Woche freigenommen und weiß schon jetzt irgendwie nichts mit mir anzufangen. Ich fühle es immer, wenn ich Urlaub habe und zu Hause bleibe, dann denke ich mir auch nur so, ja, dafür hätte ich jetzt keinen Urlaub nehmen müssen. Fühle ich so sehr. Cove carried his food himself and the two of you went back to get a spot in line. After that, you completed separate orders for what you were getting. The produce was packed away into paper bags. There was one for you and one for Cove. You both had what you needed in hand. The errand was finished. You walked across the length of the store to reach the doors closest to where you had parked. You and Cove stepped back into the night. Cove lightly swung his back and forth in his grip as you peered, squinting into the dark parking lot. He smiled slightly, a gentle expression on his lips. Thanks for inviting me to the grocery store. You don't have to thank me for that. Thanks for keeping me company. Thank my mom for sending me out to do this. You're welcome, you quietly smiled. Thanks for keeping me company. You're welcome. We should do this again. Absolute. After a moment of walking further into the parking lot, he sighed mildly. As nice as Cove was about this, he had to be tired after working a full shift. It's been a long day. Yeah. That very brief exchange really summed it up. Cove shook his head to himself, bemusement replacing his worn-down expression. When did a busy day go from having way too many ways we wanted to play or having some extra homework to having to spend all day at a job and then running errands after? Cove, das nennt sich Erwachsenwerden. I don't know. When we became grown-ups. I don't know, but it sucks. Yeah. Hey, this is still better than high school. You didn't have to answer when we became grown-ups. This is the true adult experience? Working, buying food, and then squeezing in human interaction while you were doing other productive stuff? Well, I guess kid me did always think older people spend their lives at their jobs. I was right all along. He laughed and you had to agree. Cove's eyes narrowed as his mouth opened slightly. He was having a thought.
I think?
Your moms need this stuff for tomorrow's dinner, not tonight, right? Uh-huh. And nothing's frozen, so you don't need to get it home urgently or anything. I see where you're coming from. Would you want to go across the parking lot to that fast food place? We could get something. You know, it's still open. Doesn't matter how late it is. It might be nice. You perked up at the suggestion. It sounded like fun. All right, let's go for it. Let's drop the groceries off, then we can go. You agreed and Kov strolled over to the cars. Schon wieder dieses Wort. At the thought of something to look forward to. He placed his bag in the back of his car and then walked over while you finished putting up your groceries. With the groceries taken care of, it was a short walk to the burger joint. There were 3 cars lined up in the drive-thru, which wasn't too bad. You had to go all the way around the building to get into the front entrance, but soon you were under another set of bright fluorescent lights. Luckily, there was no line inside the building, so you stepped right up to the counter. You glanced over the menu. You remembered eating here before with Kove, back when Kira had taken you both years ago. The menu looked pretty much the same from what you could remember. It was missing the mozzarella sticks. But most of the other items were familiar. Hello, what would you like to order? Ich will mozzarella sticks. Yes, hello. I would like one of everything on your Dessertmenü. Ich bin angekommen, so schön wieder hier zu sein. Doro, willkommen zurück. You burst out laughing. You gave him a "Are you serious" look. Hey, you stole my order? Good idea. You kept a straight face. It didn't surprise you. You burst out laughing. Bei dem super tollen Wort ist das U übrigens stumm. Beut. Warum ist das U dann da? Warum ist das U dann da? You burst out laughing. He brushed a hand against the back of his head and his polite smile for the amply bent. Mom rubbed off on me. Yo. He was reminiscing on that visit too. After the cashier made sure Kove was being serious, it was your time to order. You got. Ja, Chat, was holen wir? Okay, also, was ist das denn? A Vegan Veggie Burger. Warum nicht einfach a Vegan Burger? Naja, wir nehmen Chicken Sandwich oder Spicy Chicken Sandwich. Also ich bin ja echt kein Fan von Schaf, ne? Aber so Chicken und Schaf ist schon nice. A Spicy Chicken Sandwich. Oder wir wollen halt auch nicht so viel, ne? A salad, jalapeno poppers, a soda, a milkshake, a soft serve sundae. Ich kann nicht, ne? A soft serve sundae ist ja eigentlich so Eis. Ne? Dieses richtig schön cremige, ich weiß nicht, ist das Milcheis? Aber wenn ich einfach so sehe, wie es da steht, dann sehe ich automatisch sundae, also ein koreanisches Wort. Und das sind, glaube ich, Innereien. Also das ist so eine, ich weiß nicht, ob das Blutwurst ist, aber es hat irgendwas mit Innereien zu tun, ne? Ein Gericht mit Innereien. Dementsprechend, warte, ich kann auch gerade mal googeln, ne? Ja, doch, Sundae ist Blutwurst. Ist das nicht schlicht Softeis? Ja, ja, genau. Sundae ist Softeis, aber wenn man das Koreanisch liest, also Sundae, dann wäre es unter anderem Blutwurst. Nee. Da kriege ich direkt Gänsehaut. A chocolate chip cookie, an apple pie. An apple pie. Wir nehmen Apple Pie und vielleicht ein Milkshake. And a milkshake. And that was all. You wrapped up the ordering process, paid, got the number 264, then claimed a table. You sat down across from Cove in a booth where you had a good view of the front counter. It was nice to have the pick of the place. Obwohl ich vom Land komme, ist Blutwurst auch nicht so meins. Aber ich finde generell ganz, ganz viele Gerichte sehr komisch. Thanks for doing this, Cove. I'm looking forward to this. Too bad the mozzarella sticks are gone. Yeah. I'm not worried you're gonna finish all of that. You didn't start any conversation. Too bad the mozzarella sticks are gone. Oh, I didn't even notice. I wonder when they got rid of them. But neither of you had an answer to that question. Then you took out your phone to text your moms about your delay home. You didn't want them to worry. Cove watched you before pulling out his phone as well, maybe for the same reason you did. When the updates were sent, it was back to being just you and your neighbor once more. He offered you a small smile. Aww, I've missed you, you know? Even if you weren't ever really gone, it's been less time than I'm accustomed to. Cove tapped his fists on the table, definitely. Cove tapped his fists on the table, definitely. He paired that action with a childish pout. If someone saw him like that, they might have assumed he was throwing a fit over not getting the toy that comes with a kid's meal. I feel the same way. I'm really glad we're doing this. We demand more time with each other. You're really cute. You are so spoiled. You chuckled at his mini tantrum. Yeah, you chuckled. He beamed at you sincerely, a ray of sunshine in this late-night food trip. When the number was called, Cove hopped up from his seat before you could react.
Don't worry about it.
I've got it. Save our spot. Alright, see you. I'm helping get that. You nodded your agreement. You shook your head no. You nodded your agreement. You stayed in the booth and got situated for the arrival of all the stuff. You checked over the table and moved your phone to the side to make sure there was a clear space. Cove returned with a single tray, mostly consisting of his sugar-laden order. He was happy as he set it down on the table. I'm back. Thank you for carrying all that, Cove. It's no problem. Ich mache sicherheitshalber davon einen Screenshot, weil wir wissen ja, ich habe immer noch nicht herausgefunden, warum meine Bilder anders sind als in der Galerie. Obwohl die eigentlich immer auf den Cove angepasst sind, den man selbst auch hat. Cove didn't hesitate before digging in. He took a large bite of his cookie and immediately sipped his milkshake. Then he took a spoon and sampled his sundae with an approving hum. Warte mal. Tjack. Tjack. Das gefällt mir besser. Auch wenn er irgendwie so riesige Augen hat, aber So, ich werde nun erstmal die Wellen genießen gehen. Bis nachher vielleicht. Alles klar. Schönes Genießen, schöne Zeit, Doro. Ups. So. He made an attempt to follow that up with a bite of his apple pie as well, but bailed with a distressed look on his face. You tilted your head in a silent question. Hot. He switched back to the milkshake, taking a dedicated slurp. Cove sighed at the cool relief it brought. You also started to taste yours. It really wasn't bad. In only a minute, Cove's cookie was gone. You wouldn't be surprised if the milkshake wasn't far behind. You smiled as he enjoyed himself. You flicked a straw wrapper at Cove. You teasingly offered to feed him his remaining treats. Ich bin ganz im Ernst. Ich bin so. Ich würde wieder ärgern, ne? You teasingly offered to feed him his remaining treats. Do you want me to feed you? You picked up his pie and held it out to him encouragingly. You scooped up some of his ice cream sundae on your finger and held it out to him encouragingly. Was? Was? Girl. Du willst ernsthaft in der Öffentlichkeit, dass er deinen Finger schlabbert? Also ich bin ja schon so ein bisschen... Ach, was soll der Geiz? Was soll der Geiz? You scooped up some of his ice cream sundae on your finger and held it out to him encouragingly. Ach, schön, schön, schön. Straightforward. So richtig schön so aggressiv reingehen. So. He started choking on his milkshake and coughed. Oh no. He sputtered ungracefully, trying to explain himself. Oh no, ich will aber das auch haben.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm fine, I'm fine. He shuddered more, showing just how fine he was. When he finally stopped hacking, he took a deep, heavy breath. It's okay. What? He had no idea if he wanted the ice cream or if he was just saying things were okay in general. At your inquisitive look, he blushed and dropped his gaze to the floor. A pause, then he looked back up to stare at your finger. The ice cream was starting to melt. A white drop splattered down to the table, but you wanted to give him a chance, so you didn't move. Cove gripped the table's edge and nodded. It's okay. This time you knew what he meant. He was serious. Cove cautiously leaned over and you felt... Oh, God. Oi, 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 oi. Cove cautiously leaned over and you felt tingly as he brought his mouth to your finger. He put his lips around your fingertip and you got goosebumps at the touch. Oh Gott, ich kann das nicht. Leute. Chat. Wenn ihr unter 18 seid, weg mit euch. Ganz im Ernst. He dragged his lips over the tip until there was nothing left on it. Your face had to have risen several degrees. You would probably need something cold of your own after this. Dieser Blick. Oh mein Gott, ich klinge wie einfach so ein richtiger Psycho. When he let go, Cove looked up at you, his own cheeks flushed. He had a trembling smile. Was that good? Oh mein Gott, das ist so falsch. He then abruptly smacked his hand on the tabletop and turned his head to the side. Oh man. I mean, that was good. The Sunday was good. Thank you. You cackled amazed at Cove's reaction.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god. He robotically grabbed his milkshake and started drinking it, eyes anywhere but on you. After a few large gulps, he started to calm down and gave you a shaky grin. It helped settle you. No. Ich muss ja alles screenshotten, weil ich nicht weiß, was ich davon alles mitbekommen kann. You felt so glad Cove agreed to come along with you on the initial grocery trip and equally happy you accepted his invitation here. A little time off your feet, a little something to eat. You felt more energized than before. Your long shift at work that couldn't have been more than an hour or two in the past seemed like it was a lifetime away now. You continued to chat, mess around, laugh, and enjoy yourselves. For the first time that night, you felt like you weren't totally grown up after all. Das ging ja schnell. Das ging ja voll schnell. Aber das war gerade, ich glaube, neben dem, als sie als Kinder nebeneinander geschlafen haben und dann so die ersten Annäherungen hatten, also emotionale Annäherung, ich nenne es so, weil es waren immer noch minderjährige Kinder. Ne? Ich bin vernünftig. Als sie die ersten emotionalen Annäherungen hatten, da sind die sich ja schon ein bisschen näher gekommen, ne? Also das mit dem nebeneinander schlafen und die haben ja auch gekuschelt und so, ist das nichts passiert. Aber jetzt, wo die erwachsen sind, wo sie auch andere Dinge dürfen und der an ihrem Finger geschlabbert hat und dann so meinte, war das gut? Also ich meine, ich weiß ja nicht, was jetzt noch passiert, ne? Aber ich habe ein bisschen Angst. Aber ich freue mich auf jeden Fall auf Donnerstag, also übermorgen. Denn, ja, wir sind jetzt wir machen dann nämlich weiter mit dem Moment Talks und ich habe das Gefühl, dass ein Missverständnis in dem Moment passieren wird und man das dann ausspricht und dann ist aber deren Bindung noch enger. Das stelle ich mir vor von diesem Moment. Aber es kann natürlich auch was ganz anderes sein. Aber we will see. Dann sage ich einfach mal, habt noch einen schönen Tag, wenn ihr das gesehen habt. Und bis zum nächsten Part. Tschüssi. Oh Gott, das war ganz, ganz fürchterlich. Tschüss.